It's Pittsburgh Postgame on Pittsburgh Sports Live. I am Matt Gajtka, and this is another Pirates edition and another losing edition of Pirates Pittsburgh Postgame. 11-0. Kansas City sweeps the Pirates with a blowout victory at Kauffman Stadium on Sunday afternoon. If you're watching football, if you're watching hockey, I mean, heck, there's golf on. There's a lot of things that could have been occupying your time. So if you did catch it, if you didn't catch it, I wouldn't blame you. If the latter case, here I am to get you caught up on everything that happened with the Pirates this weekend as they got swept, like I mentioned, by the Royals, a fellow last place team. The Royals are in last place in the AL Central. Of course, the Pirates now 14-30 with a win percentage of .318. They're dead last in the NL Central. And actually, the .318 win percentage is now dead last in the entire Major League Baseball. And by run differential, after getting whitewashed this afternoon, they're the worst team in the National League, at least. They actually might be threatening the Red Sox, dubious mark in that category too. So, big market, small market. A lot of teams are struggling this year that maybe we didn't see coming in terms of the Red Sox and the Washington Nationals. As for the Pirates, I think most of us saw the fact that they were going to compile another losing season coming, but maybe not this bad. And another emblematic loss this afternoon, not to put too fine a point on it or try to go too big picture and too symbolic, because I kind of hate when broadcasters and media folks do that sort of thing. But tough to resist today because it was sloppier than usual from the American Midwest. 4 Kansas City runs in the first inning off Chad Kuhl, partially thanks to a JT Riddle fielding error and also a 2-run wild pitch that skipped away from catcher John Ryan Murphy. More on Riddle and Murphy in just a bit in my 3 up and 3 down. But nonetheless, KC got a head start, and then 6 more runs in the 4th inning off both Chad Kuhl and reliever Nick Tropiano. Only 3 extra base hits for Kansas City in this game somehow. Salvador Perez hitting a homer off Kuhl to kick off that 4th inning. But 11 runs nonetheless for the Royals, who, I have to say, looked mighty good in those powder blues. But for the most part, some ugly, ugly goings-on if you are a Pirates fan watching any aspect of this series. A couple of closer losses in the first 2 games of the series, but they wrap up the interleague matchup with Kansas City with a no-doubter. This one you could have turned off right away, which was pretty merciful, even though it got finished in just over 3 hours. Pretty much an upset after I think we were through 2 hours, and it was only 5 innings in to this one. Again, if you want to leave a comment at the bottom of this post, feel free on YouTube. Again, this is Pittsburgh Sports Live, bringing you as much Pirates coverage as we can handle and as you can stomach down the stretch here in this lost 2020 season. First year for Derek Shelton as the manager, first year for Ben Cherington and Travis Williams upstairs on Federal Street. But it's looking like a lot more of the same, and this may be the nadir. This may be the final descent, if you will. And if you're a Pirates fan, I think you have to hope that it is. Might not be, though. I guess we'll find out. At least this season, as I've said a couple of times on some of these shows, it's a short season. So the Pirates might be able to get by with minimal suffering and perhaps get, say, the top overall pick. Or there's a guy named Kumar that everyone's pretty hot about out of Vanderbilt. Again, this is just me by myself today, so it's going to be a shorter version of the show than usual. And, I hope you appreciate the fact that I'll try to keep it going at a good clip. I appreciate pace, and I hope you do too. So let's get right to the 3 up and the 3 down. We'll start with the ups because I try to be a positive guy whenever I can, and we've already had enough disappointing news in the opening, 3 or 4 minutes of this show. Josh Bell finally showing some consistent pop and actually looking like a guy who's comfortable at the plate, or at the very least not clueless at the plate. It's been difficult to watch Josh Bell, who is supposed to be the linchpin of this lineup coming into 2020. I know there were some concerns over how he finished 2019. He had that torrid stretch early on, especially that month of May. But really since then, average to below average in a lot of hitting categories. But maybe he's finally getting things calibrated. He's always been a guy who bounces around between stances and approaches, which could be concerning or could also be a positive if you look at it as a guy who's curious and who always is dissatisfied with his current level. He always wants to get better, in other words. So I'm not exactly going to kill him for that mindset. Hey, I'm a tinkerer too when it comes to the game of golf, so at least I understand it from that minimal perspective. But Josh Bell now, coming into today at least, coming into the Sunday finale, was 9 for his past 18, and he went 1 for 4 on Sunday with a hard hit single in the 9th inning. So that makes it 10 for 22 Not quite as impressive as an even 500 batting average, but still he's been hot in his past, 4 games here. Looking pretty good, looking like a different hitter, in fact, in this series. Perhaps it was the peaceful waterfalls of Kauffman Stadium out in left center and right center field that put him in his happy place. I don't care what it is. Lack of BP. He also commented that the Pirates' inability to take batting practice on Friday and Saturday due to various circumstances in Kansas City, maybe that helped him get it going, just doing some soft toss and then get going for the game. Because even though he still has a 232 average and an OBP barely over 300, not numbers you want for a middle-of-the-order bopper, he at least looks like a threat now. He hit 2 very different home runs. And how it usually I can tell, or how I try to tell if a hitter is feeling comfortable, is can he hit the ball with authority to both sides of the field? And for Josh Bell, who hit lefty for both of his home runs in this series, he poked one out to left field, due left, right into the Pirates bullpen, in fact, on Saturday night. And that followed up a titanic shot to deep right field, straightaway right field, a pull shot on Friday that helped the Pirates get within 4-3 before they lost that close one. So opposite field dinger, check. Pull field dinger, check. Gotta love that. And whether it be the eye test or the results, Josh Bell's a better hitter, and I hope he can at least carry that through the end of the season and build some confidence, because it's been difficult for him and Brian Reynolds and a couple other guys, but those two were leaned on, and especially Bell. Okay, another up for you. Keller pitched well. Okay, it was Brad Keller, the Royal starter. Went the distance. How about that? Complete game shutout. That's pretty rare in today's game, although we had 2 today, including a no-hitter in Milwaukee. But talking about this matchup, yes, Brad Keller, not Mitch Keller. But news about Mitch Keller is definitely qualifying for an up here in today's Pittsburgh Postgame. Mitch Keller is going to get back at it for the first time in more than a month. He's been out since August the 2nd due to side discomfort, but he will get a start. The Pirates don't know, or they haven't revealed which order that they'll start Cody Ponce and Mitch Keller in the doubleheader coming up here on Monday at Cincinnati at Great American Ballpark. But Keller will be back, and he'll get a chance to at least get maybe 2 or 3 starts before the end of the season. Just 14 days to go and 16 games to go for the Pirates, who have a chock full of action schedule coming up here. Mitch Keller still has a 6.63, pardon me, it's even worse, 6.63 ERA in his first 55 major league innings, counting last year's stint late in the year. But hopefully he can get some run and stay healthy and get those much-needed live game reps. Very important. He's not going to learn anything more at AAA, I don't think. He's got to learn how to make that stuff play. I know he wasn't throwing as hard as we would like to have seen earlier in the year. Perhaps it was due to that injury to his side. So hoping it's just something muscular that he was able to get healed up here and get the necessary rest. Just the 2 starts this season. This was supposed to be, even in just the 60-game season, this was supposed to be a showcase for Mitch. Not for other teams, don't get it twisted, but for the Pirates and for the new management team, for Oscar Marine, the new pitching coach. Everyone who wants to get a look at Keller, who's their most prized prospect coming up from the farm, still barely qualifies for that prospect label. And now he's got to turn that potential into reality. So back from injury is Keller. We'll see him tomorrow. You know how bad the series has been if I'm already talking about next series in my second up. And my third up, also perhaps frivolous and maybe not too descriptive of this series, but some positive things. Like I said, like I touched on at the start of this one, at least if the Pirates are going to have a bad series like this and a terrible game like this, have it under the cover of the return of football, whether it be high school on Fridays, college on Saturdays, or our first NFL Sunday of 2020 today. So this was the game to miss. And if you're watching the Browns and the Ravens getting some AFC North scouting, or like I said, hockey was on, Lightning and Islanders, U.S. Open tennis, LPGA golf. There are plenty of options there for you. If you're a sports fan, you didn't have to subject yourself to this one if you really wanted to get your sports fix on this gloomy Sunday. As I look out the window, yeah, still a pretty dark and depressing Saturday or Sunday in September, all things considered. A couple of other very minor positives here. I like the cardboard cutout fans behind home plate in Kansas City, much better than the fake CGI fans we've seen. For instance, the Dodgers on their Time Warner broadcast. I think that's so tacky, and we're seeing NFL games with those put on by Fox. Just give me the cardboard cutouts or nothing. Either way, it's better than that fakey stuff. Cardboard cutouts, yes, they're fake fans, but it's kitschy. It also has an organic, human-made feel. It's something that's a little bit whimsical as opposed to unsettling, which a lot of this fake crowd noise and CGI fans are for me. I'll put it that way. All right, 3 down. Plenty of things to pick from in this series and this game as well. We'll start with this game. 6 walks in 3 innings for Chad Kuhl, who got the start today. And I know it wasn't all Chad Kuhl's fault. There was a key error, as I mentioned, by JT Riddle in the first inning that sort of opened the floodgates on him. But still, the line for Kuhl, all 9 of those runs were earned, regardless of the error, regardless of his wild pitch, which maybe doesn't necessarily tell you how well he pitched. It's kind of a gray area. I always feel like, what should a wild pitch do to a pitcher's line? But it's an earned run in this case, and regardless, it was ugly for Kuhl. It wasn't his best, and now his ERA jumps from 3.3 something to 5.50, and he gave up the homer to Salvador Perez, I said. But coming into today, there was also quite the indication that perhaps it's been some smoke and mirrors from Chad Kuhl so far this year. I like to get excited about him. I love the stuff, as I've said over and over again, but no one has good enough stuff to overcome the amount of free base runners he's putting on this year. We're talking like Tyler Glass now with the Pirates numbers in terms of walks. 6 walks in 2 1/3. That's the most walks by a Pirate starter, or it ties the most walks by a Pirate starter in a 3-inning or less stint since 1974. Tyler Glass now had the only other one. Speaking of him, he's moved on to better days. I'm not sure if it'll take a change in team for Chad Kuhl to access his potential. Yes, it's his first year back from Tommy John surgery, and typically control takes a while for these guys. I'm just going to lay that out there. But 70 pitches for Chad Kuhl, just 31 for strikes. Anytime you're anywhere close to 50%, let alone below it, that's terrible for a major league pitcher. So he knows it, and he struck out 5, so he erased some of those walks with that. But he is now right around 5 walks per 9 innings. That's the dangerous underlying stat that I referred to there. That's the reason why his FIP, his fielding independent pitching, was a solid 2 runs higher than his ERA coming into today. And now we're seeing those 2 numbers converge a lot more after that, because it's still a small sample for Kuhl. He's just made a handful of appearances here this season. Here's my second down. Combine that Kuhl start with another downer of a start from Trevor Williams. And if I had to pick one guy to be more concerned about, it would be Trevor, because his stuff isn't as good as Chad Kuhl. It never has been. He's always subsisted on control. But as hitters grew more and more accustomed to his sinker-slider routine, now he's trying to elevate. He's trying to use more curveballs as well. And I don't know if it's going to work for him. At least right now, he's having a hard time finding the feel with that different type of pitching. And you often see sinker-slider guys combine those 2 pitches. You often see that kind of combination of repertoire for pitchers because I think the release and the release point for those pitches are similar. Curveball is a different animal, though. And he's got a good changeup. So I think I'm still bullish on him being a productive major leaguer, whether it be a starter or a reliever. But suddenly that pitching class of 2016, which includes Williams, Kuhl, Jamison Taillon, still TBD if he comes back successfully from that Tommy John surgery, second Tommy John surgery, and also Stephen Brault. They were looked at, well, when I was on the beat, that was the cavalry, so to speak. After the 2015 team with 98 wins fell off to a sub-500 record in 2016 and 17, those guys, the class of 16, Williams, Kuhl, Brault, Taillon, they were supposed to help lead the team back and give them some very cost-controlled production in the starting rotation or in the bullpen. In Brault's case, I'm not sure I ever thought he was going to be a legit regular starter, at least not for a winning team, but it hasn't worked out. Now, Trevor Williams had a key error on Saturday that didn't help his cause, but now he's allowed the 3rd most home runs in Major League Baseball, and 12, by the way. And keep in mind, it's a short season, so, wow, that number could have really gotten up there, skyrocketing as it is right now. And just the ERA and WHIP, I'm not going to give you anything more complicated than that. ERA of 6.35 and a WHIP of 1.65. A lot of base runners, a lot of runs coming across the plate. And Trevor Williams, he can't put the base runners on, first and foremost, because at least as a starter, he hasn't shown the ability to blow away guys. He's going to have to get ground ball outs, fly outs if need be. Maybe he's trying to get some more strikeouts and swing and miss this season, but he's been less efficient and he's been less effective. Not a great combination. Maybe he's a bullpen option late. Not so, says Shelton. Shelty said that Trevor Williams is going to stay in the rotation for the time being. And I guess you might as well give him 3 or 4 more starts here just see if he can dig his way out of it and find something, because moving to the bullpen, whatever. The Pirates aren't going to win. They are so far out of it, despite the shortened season. I mentioned dead last in the National League and in all Major League Baseball right now with that .318 winning percentage at 14-30. And by the way, with the 30th loss, they have now clinched their 24th non-winning season out of 28. Yeah, I know. We're starting a new streak here, I suppose. It's going to be at least 2 in a row losing seasons after that brief jump above 500 late in 2018 where they went 82. So they got past the old 500 mark, which used to be unattainable for this franchise. But they're right back in the slump. They're right back in the non-playoff category once again. This will be 5 seasons in a row. All right, our final down for Pittsburgh Postgame. No off days the rest of the way, with 2 weeks remaining, barring any kind of COVID flare-up. Doubleheader against the Reds, as I mentioned, coming up on Monday. Excuse me, allergies kicking in here in the fall. And also a doubleheader on Friday at PNC Park featuring the Cardinals, including one of the games in which the Pirates will hit first as the away team because of that postponement due to COVID about a month and a half ago. But, okay, so 2 weeks to go. How is that a downer, Matt? You may be asking. If you want this season to get over with, I don't blame you. But if I have to see more lineups like I saw today featuring Riddle and Murphy, this team is already bereft of hitting talent at the major league level, maybe even the minor league level. So more doubleheaders, more games, no off days the rest of the way. That probably means more quote-unquote Sunday lineups like this one, except on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that's not the case, because we want to see the young guys. We want to see these players, even the struggling Brian Reynolds, who hit a home run, by the way, yesterday. So there you go. Maybe a positive as well. But I want to see guys like Brian Hayes play. Obviously, we do. Even Cole Tucker, who's done next to nothing at the plate. You want to see more out of him, or at least I do. I don't want to see players with no upside like Murphy and Riddle. I realize there's a limit to that, and I realize you're not trying to run these guys into the ground and cause injuries, perhaps, or some type of extended fatigue situation that carries over into their offseason. But not great to have all these consecutive games, 16 games, in fact, packed into the final 14 days of the regular year. All right. Hope you enjoyed Pirates Charities Weekend. Kind of ought to do that on a road series, but I guess it doesn't matter this year with the broadcasters in studio there on the North Shore. Up next for the Pirates, 4 games at Cincy. That Monday doubleheader kicks it off. Sorry, I hate to say kickoff with baseball, but it's a bad habit of mine that sometimes pops up. Anyway, first pitch at 4:10 from Great American Ballpark, then game 2 immediately following. Remember, these are 7-inning doubleheaders in this year of our Lord 2020. Then a rare 5-game set versus the Cardinals at PNC Park. That'll start on Thursday through Sunday. And that will also begin a 9-game homestand that features the Cubs. Season ends at Cleveland with a 3-game series that wraps up on the 27th. So, yeah, 2 more weeks to go. 2 more weeks of pain, it looks like, to go if you're the Pirates or one of their fans. 11-0 Royals on this Sunday. This has been Pittsburgh Postgame. I've been Matt Gajtka. Thank you for watching. And remember, we have more Pittsburgh sports coverage after every game, basically, when it comes to the Pirates, when it comes to the Steelers, coming up on Monday night as they open against the Giants at the Meadowlands, also the Riverhounds, and we'll have more Penguins content during their abbreviated offseason, but definitely longer than what they wanted it to be. Also, don't forget as well, I almost did forget, Pitt in West Virginia. College football is back, so we'll have some Pittsburgh post games for those too. Mike Ostie hosted a WVU post game, in fact, just Saturday. All right, now I'm done. That's it. We'll talk to you next time on Pittsburgh Postgame on Pittsburgh Sports Live.